Good evening and welcome to Duck TV News. I'm Sydney Dauphiné.
And I'm Delaney Garland. Here are tonight's stories. Last week, an anti-abortion organization displayed a 20-foot high tower on the University of Oregon's EMU lawn. Reporter Jasmine McKinley has the story. Graphic images follow. Viewer discretion is advised.
The atmosphere on campus this afternoon has been deeply stirred due to an anti-abortion rally held by the Bioethical Reform. These protesters are part of a national protest called the Genocide Awareness Project, and they are displaying graphic images as seen behind me. As a result, there is a small counter-protest in front of the EMU lawn. The Genocide Awareness Project promotes a pro-life vision by using popular images and groups to grasp people's attention. Jacqueline Hawkins, a pro-life advocate, voices her beliefs.
So a woman has a right to her body, but not when it trumps the rights of another human being.
The Genocide Awareness Project also put up a huge display of disturbing images that student counter-protesters covered up with tarps and sheets. Student protester Ellen Scharf describes her connection to this protest.
Personally, I feel a really strong connection with my fellow women and my fellow people and fellow students at this school. And so seeing that these people feel unsafe and that they feel, attacked or extremely vulnerable in a place where they live, it seems absolutely vile to me.
Overall, for both sides, the protest created a huge social divide within the students and advocates on this issue. Reporting for Duck TV News, I'm Jasmine McKinley.
As a result of this protest, the University of Oregon is offering counseling to those who may be emotionally traumatized.
This past Thursday, the University of Oregon participated in the annual Great Shakeout. Around 10 a.m., students received texts and emails from the university's alert system reminding them of the correct procedure. Coordinator Leland O'Driscoll explained the importance of this national drill.
Yeah, well, the Great Shakeout is a long-standing exercise to advocate for earthquake preparedness and specifically address what to do when ground motion takes place. When you feel an earthquake, the messaging is very strong that you drop, cover, and hold on. We want students to be prepared to behave properly when an earthquake happens. We really want students to be ready for a disaster, and that really extends beyond just earthquake. The most key thing is that we know we lie on top of a very large subduction zone or a big fault zone that can generate a very large magnitude earthquake.
For more information about earthquake preparedness, visit safety.uoregon.edu.
A recent hashtag has gone viral across multiple social media platforms. Although the hashtag #MeToo has recently spread in popularity, it has in fact been around for several years. The #MeToo campaign began as a symbol to provide a platform for survivors of sexual violence to come together for support. The survivors are able to share their stories of sexual harassment and to raise awareness through the hashtag #MeToo. Some of you may have seen the red flags placed on campus in front of the Knight Library to symbolize the growth in sexual assault during the first weeks of fall term. The ASUO Women's Center and Dean of Students promote the prevention of sexual violence with the Red Zone campaign. For more information or to seek help, call the UO Sexual Violence Hotline at 541-346-SAFE. Now we take it to Jack and Kylie to get you caught up on fall sport.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome back to Duck TV Sports. I'm Jack Taylor.
And I'm Kylie Gelfand.
We're excited to have you back to give you the lowdown on all things Oregon sports.
Oh, and this just in. Oregon's football losing streak has now lasted longer than the ice in your hydro flask.
Well, with that cold opening, let's get started on this week's show. The 15th ranked Oregon volleyball team will finish off their 4-game homestand with 2 more matches this week. Starting Wednesday against number 12th ranked Utah, the Utes are second in the Pac-12 behind Stanford. In Oregon's last meeting with Utah, they upset the Utes in 5 sets. The Ducks senior right hitter, Taylor August, is excited to continue Pac-12 play in front of her home crowd.
I think being at home is it's really fun because you get to play in front of your fans and my family, because I'm from Oregon, so it's really fun being at home and having all that camaraderie around you. And I think that's just again like a confidence builder, but also just kind of lights a fire underneath you to be better.
Oregon rallied back Friday from a 2-1 deficit to beat the University of Arizona Wildcats in 5 sets. The following day, the Ducks cruised past the Arizona State Sun Devils with a 3-0 sweep to improve to 13-5 overall and 6-4 in Pac-12 play.
Oregon traveled to Pasadena this past weekend to take on the UCLA Bruins, but couldn't pull off a win, losing to the Bruins 31-14. This is the third loss since quarterback Justin Herbert was injured. The most notable stat was that running back Royce Freeman became Oregon's all-time leading rusher with 5,103 yards rushed, surpassing LaMichael James, who once held the school's record with 5,082 yards rushed over 3 seasons. Next week, Oregon will return home to face the University of Utah Utes, who are 4-4 this season. Ex-wide receiver Darren Carrington will be back in Autzen Stadium, but this time wearing red and black, ready to challenge Oregon's secondary. He led Oregon in receiving yards in 2016 until he was dismissed from the team during the offseason because of a driving under the influence arrest.
More on Utah and Oregon. Next Thursday, Oregon soccer hosts Utah, the only team the Ducks still place above in Pac-12 standings, with the Utes coming off of a 6-game losing streak. Following the Ducks' 4-0 loss to Stanford this past week, Oregon faced defeat once again last Sunday morning in their 3-0 loss to number 16th ranked Cal. The Ducks played a strong first half against the Golden Bears, but faced a completely different Cal offense in the second, leading to their loss. With only 3 matches remaining, the Ducks hope to get the most out of their seniors before saying farewell. Despite Oregon soccer's in-game performance, the team is receiving plenty of attention during their pregame. Our reporter Cameron Marville has more on the story.
Nike's Be Oregon initiative calls for a social justice movement. And that's exactly what the Ducks soccer team brought to the field Friday night at Poppe Field. Arguably the biggest story in all of sports throughout the past year has been the controversial act of kneeling during the national anthem. Whether it's where it all started in the National Football League with Colin Kaepernick or at Eugene's very own University of Oregon, these silent protests catch the eye of the crowd every time. The Ducks soccer team took a knee of their own Friday, October 13th, as they shut down the Arizona State Sun Devils 3-0 and stood up to, quote, the system, end quote, as Caitlin Wong put it when we caught up with her after the win.
We kneel in protest of the social injustices that are widespread in our country and all throughout the system. And we just, us kneeling is not necessarily going to change the legislation or get something to happen, but it's going to start a conversation with a few people. And if we can help spread awareness of racial and social injustice, then that's what I believe in, and that's what makes it worth it. Yeah, absolutely.
For NCAA soccer, the national anthem is played while teams are already out on the field, unlike Oregon's football games where players have arguably never gotten the opportunity to chime in on the protests, since the anthem is performed prior to the team's march out of the tunnel. Although these acts may be seen as nothing more than nonviolent efforts intended to shed light on social issues, professional sports leagues such as the United States Soccer Federation have adopted policies which prohibit all players from kneeling while the anthem is played. From Duck TV Sports, I'm Cameron Marvel, sending it back up to you in the studio.
Thanks, Cameron. Oregon men and women's cross country will prepare for the Pac-12 championship meet here in Springfield this Friday. The women will look to extend their dominance in the conference and gain momentum towards winning their second straight national championship in cross country. The Oregon women made NCAA history last year, winning the national title in cross country, indoor track, and track and field, completing the Triple Crown. And now we send it to Owen with this week's Triple Threat.
Thanks, Kylie. On this week's Triple Threat, we'll be looking at 3 top Oregon athletes who have been standing out this fall. Our first athlete is sophomore cross-country runner Katie Rainsberger. Rainsberger had a great freshman season. She earned many awards, including Pac-12 Freshman of the Year. Last month, at the Bill Dellinger Invitational, she broke the previous record by 37 seconds, finishing with a time of 18 minutes and 47.6 seconds. Any chance of a sophomore slump has been avoided. Rainsberger will compete in the cross-country Pac-12 championship in Springfield, Oregon this week. Next is senior volleyball player Taylor August. August has adjusted nicely to her new position at right hitter, coming in with second in kills on the team with 191. She also has been averaging near 3 kills per set so far this season. August had a career-high 15 digs against Arizona last Friday and followed up on Saturday with only 6 kills but a win against Arizona State. August says that she wants to focus more on the team rather than her stats this year. Last, but certainly not least, is Oregon's newest leading rusher in program history, Royce Freeman. This past Saturday, Royce Freeman broke the Michael James rushing record when he ran for 160 yards against UCLA. Freeman now has 5,103 yards for Oregon for his career at Oregon. Freeman is ranked 8th in the nation in rushing yards with 957 so far this season. With starting quarterback Justin Herbert still out, Freeman will continue to be the workhorse for Oregon. Well, that's all I got this week. Back to you guys at the desk.
Well, that's it for us here at Duck TV Sports.
Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for all things Oregon sports.
Now, back to the news desk.
Is Manju Bangalore, a sophomore at the university who was invited to share some of her own studies at an event with NASA. Mano Murphy has more.
I am standing in front of the UO Science Building, where Manju Bangalore spends many of her hours, and it pays off. She's just received one of the highest national academic achievements an undergraduate student can receive.
Out of the 300 competitive applications, Bangalore is one of the 60 U.S. students chosen. She will present her research at the 20th Annual Posters on the Hill event in Washington, D.C. Here at the U of O, she is studying mathematics and physics.
I came to the U of O as a political science student because I really care about politics. And I ended up switching to physics and math just because I wanted to understand how to evaluate the world in an objective way, and physics and math allowed me to do that.
In 2015, Bangalore did research on the economics of in-space propulsion at NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center. At the Flight Center, she worked with the project manager for the center's technology development division. Bangalore knew she wanted to be an astronaut since she was 4 years old.
A railroad that was on a really steep incline, and my dad, while we were approaching the railroad tracks, would pretend he was a pilot talking to air traffic control and be like, air traffic control, this is pilot, blah, blah, blah. We're in WCH 741. Are we ready for takeoff? And it was so stupid, but 4-year-old me was so excited that we were about to fly for a second.
Bangalore is conducting research at the UO in the high-tech labs in the Science Building. She has a position in the Presidential Undergraduate Research Scholars Program. This summer, Bangalore hopes to secure an internship in the field of policy and science literacy.
Thanks, Mano. Speaking of blasting off into space, Eugene city officials are moving to put more restrictions on fireworks in 2018. The new regulations will allow only small fireworks that produce minimal noise. If approved, fireworks will only be allowed on July 3rd and 4th, New Year's Eve, and New Year's Day.
On to another shift in holiday traditions. The annual Springfield Christmas Parade has been canceled after being successfully put on for the last 14 years. The Springfield Christmas Parade Committee, SPCPC, has decided that due to another lack of volunteers and board members, the event has become too large of a production to succeed this year. The committee will begin looking in early January for new board members and local volunteers who may be interested in helping with future holiday celebrations.
Christmas joy may be at a low, but Joy PSA, a public art project, has posted signs around Eugene aiming to spread love and inspiration around the community. Local self-funded artist Dana Hawes Davis created Joy PSA as an outlet to overcome personal problems. Since then, she has seen the impact Joy PSA has made. Hawes Davis explains what inspires her to share her artwork with the community.
Is how can I be my highest and truest expression of me and share that, rather than doing all these things in life, just really be who I am.
Hawes Davis dedicates one day a week to put up signs around the Eugene area. Joy PSA signs can be seen on EMX buses and various street posts. Hawes Davis also puts signs around the Oregon coast when she can. To see more of Hawes Davis's work, check out Joy PSA on Instagram and joypsa.com. That's all for this week's episode. Thanks for tuning in.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Duck TV News. Have a great night, Eugene.